Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi project. Today we're going to do another solo episode and we're going to focus on three main things, all right? So I'm going to give you guys an update about what's been going on in my life and all the changes and challenges and how hopefully that can help you guys in the things that you're dealing with in today's world. But our main focus will be what to do in business if things are slower than normal, okay? We'll give you detailed step-by-steps of all the things you can try in order to help manage the change in your business if it's going on the slower side. Now, I do see that as a trend on most of the businesses across the board, but there are things we can try to do to make sure we manage it as well as possible. All right, so the first updates that I have officially, I know I've mentioned it in previous episodes, but I am officially fully pregnant. My stomach's out and everything. So there goes another change in my personal life. And it wasn't fully planned, but I did want more kids. So here we are. With the timing, I wasn't ready because I was super ready to dive back into being a badass in business and pushing things along. But then, life has bumps and surprises and blessings that come along the way. So I want to talk a little bit about change, because not all of you are probably pregnant. That's a whole different thing that, people go through, but we all go through change. And I think that's kind of the hard thing to deal with as humans. For some reason, we don't like change. We like consistency. Change is scary because we don't know what to expect and what it's going to bring or how to even deal with the current change. The number one thing I have learned with change is to slow down. Okay. And to really take our time to analyze and see what to do and how to deal with this change in our life. A lot of times when change happens, we tend to freak out. We tend to get overwhelmed. We get to react way before we should. First, we need to slow down and analyze the change and see if there's anything strategically we can do to approach it in the healthiest, most organized way for it to not get to us. So we already talked about that. The first thing we want to do is slow down and analyze this change in our life. But I want to give you guys a specific example, and I don't want to use mine, which is the pregnancy, because I don't think every single person can relate to that. But one good example I want to go over is a relationship change, right? So we can either be getting into a new relationship or getting out of one. I'll focus more on a breakup or getting over a relationship because I think that's harder, bigger change. Well, for some people, getting into a relationship can be a big change too, but let's focus on getting out of a relationship. So first thing is slowing down, right? Initially, when we go through a breakup, and you can apply these steps to any big change that is going on in your life, okay? All the step-by-steps would apply. So the first thing is slowing down and really realizing what just happened. Because sometimes when something big like that happens, we're just an emotional mess, right? Even with my pregnancy, I was an emotional mess. It was just a huge change. What am I going to do? Like all these thoughts are in my head. Like, how am I going to handle this new person? All the extra expenses that come with it, my physical strength, being able to do certain things that I was really ready to get back into. So same thing with our example, right? A big change, which is a breakup or a change in a relationship. So first thing I'm going to do is, instead of having all that emotional mess in my head, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write down all my concerns with this change to really figure out what's going on. Why am I so upset about it? So for a breakup, I'll write down, okay, so I lost this person in my life. It could have been your choice or the other person's choice. Sometimes when it's your choice for the change, it is easier, but it's still hard. But then other times when it's not your choice, that's when we really need to sit down and figure out what we can do when it's out of our control, this change that's in our life. I would sit down and write everything down. So what does this mean? This change that this person's out of my life, it means I'm probably going to have more time. Or if maybe I was really codependent on this person, who am I going to call every morning? Oh, it's going to feel weird to go out alone, or I need to start dating again. Oh, I don't want to meet new people. It was such a hassle to go through that. So I want to write down all these thoughts that are in my head first, and then go at it one at a time. It'll feel a lot better once we realize the things that's specifically bothering us. And we want to be really true and honest with us, right? A lot of times it could be, oh, this person maybe really wasn't good for me, but it's probably for the best. I was suffering a lot in this relationship. Every other day I was bickering, arguing, or this person was not loyal to me. They didn't treat me the way I wanted. So you want to get all this stuff down, and you want to be super honest with yourself, okay? And always know in any change, when it involves a different person, don't take anything personally. A lot of times I think we take almost everything personally, even losing a job, right? So that's a different example. So let's say we get fired or we get let go. A lot of times that could really hurt our ego, but sometimes companies, it's not even personal at all. It's a business decision because of the economy or because of different needs for the difference, changing of the position, changing of the business structure, all that good stuff. So first thing we want to do is, no matter what your big change is, try not to take it personally and look at it in the big picture of things that it's really not your fault. Not blame other people, but one thing I learned to do is not blame myself either, and just blame the circumstances, and that's what it is and that's how it is, and accept that, okay, well, this is what it is. It's not really my fault. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's not that I'm not pretty enough. It's not that anything's personal. It just, this is how it is, and I need to accept it and move on. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I think once we realize that whatever change we're going through, it's not personal and it is just part of life, and we need to just find a healthy way to move on from it, it becomes easier. And sometimes somebody needs to tell you that, it's not your fault. It's not personal. In our breakup example, it's not because you weren't good enough, you weren't pretty enough. Maybe this person was just not right for you, and you weren't right for them. And a lot of times once we fully heal from a breakup, we do end up realizing, oh yeah, this happened for a reason. In my case, I've always been proven right that, okay, this is happening for a reason. A better person or a better situation has presented itself once I was able to fully let go of that person that, this is a breakup example. So that person that was getting out of my life. Again, for my case too, not only in relationships, a lot of times that has been proven right for me in business, okay, or in personal choices and certain things. If something wasn't working out, of course, I would give it my all and really sit down, analyze all the thoughts that, like I said, is kind of jumbled in my head that's making me freak out. And then once I was able to finally let go, being logical about it instead of being emotional about it, that's when I was able to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, oh, I had to let go of this one thing, even if it was like a business project, in order for me to have the energy, the time in order to focus on something new. So the last thing you would need to do with the big change is you want to consider your current options, right? So my goal of what I've been focusing on to get better in life is really living in the exact present moment. So I've gotten really good at this throughout my career. So in the past, I want to say about 8 years ago now, since I officially established my business, I was really bad at just I wasn't bad at living in the past, but I was really bad living in the future. And sometimes people think planning ahead, having things, goals and dreams and just looking forward to that is a great thing. But in reality, that's not really too great either. You want to be able to live in the present, still have goals and dreams for the future, but really really focus on the present and what you can do on that day-to-day moment instead of just being so anxious about the future. In my case, anytime like I had goals or dreams or whatever I wanted to accomplish in the future, I would get so stressed out and so, what's the right word? Like get so much anxiety until I accomplished that goal. But when I accomplished it, I wasn't happy about it. It was just be like, okay, done, what's next? And I would like stress out and be super like about the next thing, right? I've been working on and I've gotten better at focusing on the present and the day-to-day to enjoy my current, what I have currently, but really aim to achieve more in the future. But I'm focusing on what I could do today only. So same thing goes with the big change. We don't want to worry about the past or why did this happen? Maybe I could have done this different. Is it my fault? Oh, I wish I don't know, did this and that to avoid this. But instead of that, we need to accept that this change has already happened. There's no going back. And now we need to figure out our options of how to move forward. I think once we can accomplish that skill of, okay, what's done is done. Let's see what our options are currently today. What action can I take today to feel better? So in our example of the relationship breakup, what are some things that you can do to feel better, right? So for everybody, it's going to be different. If you can do some of the things that really de-stress you, you can start dating again, maybe you're not ready to get in a serious relationship, but you can start talking to other people, see what's out there, or you can even maybe start planning on your day-to-day of the different things you can do to fill up your time that this person was taking. Because sometimes we're afraid of being alone or bored or not having like such a close relationship with somebody. But the reality of it is, once we realize that we have a lot of different options of how we can fill our time and really like enjoy ourselves alone, we're not really going to be genuinely happy. That means we're being dependent on somebody else to make us happy. That's a whole other episode and that's a whole other topic, but just some food for thought. Like if you need to figure out some options of things that you personally like to do alone, even maybe fully alone or with just a friend or anybody else that's willing to join you, even strangers in like a group setting that's willing to join you, for you to figure out, okay, this is me, this is what I like, this is fully what I want to do without this other person's influence that's in my life. Anyway, so those are some things that you can try for a big change in your life. For me, just to touch a little bit about my struggle, when I found that I was pregnant again, honestly, I was finally, and this happens to me every time, so this is the second time it happened, but I was finally ready to like get back to fully in work. I had finally gotten a nanny where my house situation is managed very well with my current 2 kids, and I was getting in the flow of things. It had been like 2 months, almost 2 months that I had the nanny, and we had a new system and a rhythm, and one kid is going to daycare, I have the nanny for the other one at home, I can be in the office every day, I can like push to grow the business, and then boom, I find out I'm pregnant again. And again, that change, even though it's a good positive change and I like, it's something that I wanted, I wasn't fully ready for it. So it took me a minute to, again, be crazy in my head and be like, okay, what am I going to do now? To finally be like, okay, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to figure out my options of what I can do while being pregnant, how much effort I can put into the business, and really tell myself that, hey, it's okay to slow down. Now, slowing down for me personally is really hard. I've always been a fast-paced person. I like doing cajillion things at a time, not to overwhelm me, not for the money. Like, I just get satisfaction over being busy. If it's something fun, if it's something productive, I'm just a person who goes. But in this case, physically, I had to also slow down. My pregnancies are high risk, so I'm supposed to take it super easy. So mentally, that was kind of really hard for me to accept again, because like I said, finally I had my life kind of together and I was ready to get back into my crazy workout routine. I have my full body back, and boom, that's not an option anymore. So for that reason too, I didn't want to because my outlet for stress and my outlet for being able to handle so much was physical exercise, mainly like running, working out, just really that helped me disconnect from everything and get all my thoughts together. That's when I got my best ideas. And that hasn't fully been part of my life in a long time since I had young kids. I had to breastfeed. I was like pregnant back to back. Again, I was high risk, so I wasn't allowed to work out at all. Long story short, that's also why I'm going to use this to foreshadow into my next topic, which what I've been working on is meditation. So that's what I found to try to get my peace, to get my de-stressor, to try to get into that headspace that's healthy and that's kind of calm. I guess that's the best way I can explain it, is through meditation instead of physically working out. So ideally, from my research and all the successful people I talk to, you want to invest time into both. You want to invest time into physical exercise. You want to invest time into meditation to fully be mindful and be in the right headspace. But for me, I'm really trying to figure out what meditation works for me and how it really works, right? We've heard of meditation, and I think more and more people are talking about as their day-to-day routine. But as like the average person, sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, I'm going to meditate, and you just kind of pop into it. It's really a practice. And I think it finally just hit me that, hey, it's a practice. You need to keep doing it for you to get there. So just because you do it once or twice and it feels like nothing's working, you can't still your mind, you're not at peace with it yet, it doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means you need more practice. And I think I finally understood that when I was reading this book. Okay, so I just started this book. I'm not gonna talk about it too much because I feel like I need to finish it and maybe kind of reread some sections to fully understand the concept. So I'm a person who've always liked math and science and precise answers. But then as I kind of got into the study of like what successful people do, how to be like fully complete, happy, and successful, I started believing into like the law of attraction and how we can, our energy and like spirituality. So I kind of got into that stuff, but it still just kind of felt like magic, right? It just felt untouchable to me. So my like sciencey side didn't fully like accept that, hey, if I really believe in something, if I really like, you know, do the manifestation and really like visualize it and really like put all my energy into it, be positive, all this stuff, I will attract it. So that still kind of felt like magic. Like, how does that really work, right? I didn't really know how it worked, but I still went for it because I learned about it and I saw it actually work. I don't know if that makes sense, but this book is written by a doctor, and it kind of brings these two worlds together. So for somebody like me who wanted to understand kind of like the science of it, of what's happening in our head or in our mind and our brains when we are meditating or when we are in a happier place and when we are more positive, it all kind of started making more sense, and I'm just kind of loving it so far. But again, I'm very early in this book, so this book is called Becoming Supernatural, and it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think I said his name correct. He's like pretty huge now. A quick summary of what he does is he basically helps people like heal themselves through illness, like through a lot of like even medical issues, and change their life for the better through meditation. And he has like these workshops that you can go and like really immerse into it. And what I like about it, or so far what I like about it, is that he explains like the science of it. So he'll do like brain scans and really like tangibly measure what's going on in your body and in your health while you're going through this meditation process, or all these like different ways of healing besides like medication, right? So again, super early on this, I'm still learning about it. I'll touch more in detail about it once I feel like I have a better understanding with you guys. But if this like sparks an interest in you, check out his book. Super cool. We'll link it below. So one of the first meditations he talks about is two things. Okay, so first we know for goals, we want to be very specific on setting goals. That's how it's more likely for us to accomplish it. But to me, like the way he approaches meditation, it's almost like how I would approach goals, and it's really cool. So he talks about setting that one intention, right? So first we need to have a clear intention. So if my clear intention is I want to make $50,000 more each year, that's super clear of what it is, right? But we just don't want to put a time to it. So this is where it becomes more of the manifestation and meditation versus like setting actual goals, because in setting goals we're used to setting a deadline and we're used to setting like very specifics of when and how. The way he explains the meditation is we're setting an intention, but we're almost leaving it up to the universe to manifest it or to make it come true through our meditation. We're not giving it a time frame and we're not telling exactly how. So I'm not saying, okay, I'm going to make 50,000 more this year by taking more clients, by adding a new product to my product line. So we're not being more specific, and which was kind of weird to me at first, but let's see how it works. I'm going to give you guys my update once I actually am able to do this new meditation he suggested and get through the full book. But so this is the first thing he suggests. Have your intention. If it's $50,000 more each year, so that's your thing. And he wants you to write it down on a paper and you can give it a letter. So this is job related. So he gave the example of the letter J, right? And he goes in detail about how everything is energy and is frequencies. And this is kind of like proven through scans and different devices that he actually measures, which is super cool. But the actual exercise itself, again, I don't want to give too much details because I don't think I 100% understand it just yet. But the exercise of that specific meditation, if you don't care to know how it works or anything, but if you just want to start doing it, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, is again, we assign it a letter. So the letter would be J, and you're putting squiggly lines around that J. You're putting 2 squiggly lines, and that represents like the energy or the magnetic field, as he calls it, around that J. Okay, so you can give it any letter that you want. The point of it is to write it down on a paper and really be able to see it and visualize it. Then we're writing what our actual intention is. And again, in this example, it's 50,000 more a year. And then we're giving it a strong kind of passionate word about it, like our why. Okay, so this is how I understand it. We want to give it our why of why we want that, right? So what does this mean to you? And you want to give it one of these powerful whys. So it could be because you're going to feel more free in life. You're going to have a lot more gratitude. You're going to feel a lot more joy and happiness. So all these great positive feelings is what your why needs to be. And then you're really just sitting and meditating about this, and almost you're putting yourself in the future. So how will you feel once this comes true? Okay, if your intention came true, how can you put yourself in that why feeling? So right now, how can I pretend or imagine or manifest or live in the future, some people call it, and there's other people I interviewed that talk about this, like living in the future, but this is what I understand it to be. So you're imagining that you already have received this $50,000 and you're really putting your energy and trying to feel how you would feel once you have that. And I think that's the hard part. That's the practice part, because unless we receive something, it's hard for us to feel happy and grateful. Just imagining to receive it, it's kind of hard to get there. So I think that's where the meditation and the practice comes in. But I hope this clarifies like a little bit more about manifesting or meditating for that reason, and I'll share more as I learn more about it, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. We'll see how it works. But I didn't know too much about, I guess, the science of it or the step-by-step of it. But in the past, I feel like I've done similar exercises and it has worked. So I have high hope and I kind of believe in it. I guess I talked more about it than I wanted to, because like I said, I don't like talking too much about something unless I fully understand it. But at least that first exercise, I think I understood it pretty well of what he was explaining. So I wanted to share it with you guys to see what you guys think. And I'm very curious. Do you guys think this might work? Does it sound like magic, or voodoo or crazy or taboo. I don't know. So talk about it in the comments. I'm very curious about what you guys think. All right, so I hope you guys are enjoying this episode because I'm enjoying talking about all these new things. But let me dive into our third main topic, okay? I talked a lot more about the first two than I wanted, but I think it's good info. Hopefully it can help you guys as it's helping me. So the third thing I want to talk about is what to do or some of the things that I'm going to try or I'm currently trying in order to grow business, right? So right now we all know it's weird times with business. Most businesses are doing worse than they did in the last couple of years. And for me too, I'm in the same shoe. And at first it was really hard for me to accept that, to see that kind of like downfall, because I've never seen that before. Thank God I've always climbed up in business. But businesses go through cycles just like seasons. I think it's very important to accept that as an entrepreneur. It can't always be going up. Like even if you look at charts for any stock, it's always going up and down. And that's just a cycle of life and business. There's always ups and downs. It's what we do and how we handle those downs that really determine our future. So here are some things that I've tried and I am currently trying and experimenting with to see what helps and how I can either sustain my business currently or to help it grow back again, right? Sometimes there's not much we can do if it's really outside factors like the economy, but there are still some things we can do to try to ride the wave and hang on to make sure we don't go out of business. And before I forget, there is an article that I found that's a little bit more detailed than the list I'm about to give you guys of some things you can try, okay? So we'll link that below. Hopefully it helps you out. Now, when it comes to business slowing down, it's hard to not freak out, right? When you don't see your numbers are as high or as positive, that's when we start to freak out as small business owners, especially. Now, first thing that comes to our mind that we want to do is we want to cut down costs. So that's the most common thing that businesses do, or the first thing that comes to mind is you want to cut down costs so you could see some profit or your profits going higher. One thing about cutting down costs is I want to share with you from my experience is you want to be very careful and analyze and be strategic about how you cut down your costs, because sometimes that cutting down in certain things may not be worth it. So in my example, and I think this is pretty common, and I do remember learning about this in business school, but look, in theory I made the same mistake and I'm learning from it. So a lot of times when businesses are slow, a lot of our costs can go into marketing, right? But marketing brings in money. When business is slow and you're seeing such a big chunk is going to your marketing, it's so easy to be like, okay, I'm just going to stop the ads or slow down the ads in order to save money, because in our minds we think, okay, there it goes, this is a big chunk that I get to keep in the bank account instead of paying for marketing or ads. So that's a mistake I made. I noticed after I stopped certain ads, you want to analyze it. For some of the ads, if they're not performing as good, of course, it makes sense to cut it down or slow it down. But a lot of times ads are good. We want to increase our marketing and ads when business is slow in order to help drive more traffic to our business and grow it again or find new customers. So that's one thing that I'm currently working on, is trying some different ads or adding back the ads that I had cut down like 3 months ago. I knew maybe I was making a mistake with this, but my curious side, and I like living on the edge, I was like, I'm just going to stop everything and see how things do. But after doing that and analyzing the trends of the traffic to my website, sales and all of that, I did notice that certain ads were really helping and working. So I'm going to go back and turn those on or increase how much I was investing in them. So that's one thing I just wanted to share from my personal experience. But overall, analyzing and cutting down costs is one strategy, right? But be careful if it's your marketing and ads cost. You want to make sure it's something that you don't need versus of it bringing you sales and business. Another thing that you can do is really look at your strategy and look at where you're spending the money and the cost in the business. Is there anything you can automate to save money? Is there anything that you can cut down without it hurting? Is there any, if you're a small business owner especially, is there anything you could do yourself that you're currently outsourcing? All these things can help cut down cost while you're trying to grow again. And a lot of times employee cost is the biggest, your payroll is your biggest cost in a small business. So that's again when you want to analyze, okay, is there some things that I can cut down on, some people I can cut down on where we can be more efficient with the current employees, or with myself, me doing more. So it just really depends on your business model. But again, you want to be careful. You don't want to go too extreme and think you could do everything yourself and then end up being overwhelmed and not managing your business properly. I think everything comes with analyzing, but this is when we revisit our strategies, our business models, and see what we need to change if the business is slower. Another thing we can do is we can survey our current customers, especially our loyal customers. So we want to give out surveys, or even just pick up the phone and call some of the ones that you have connections with, or your regular ones, and literally survey them and ask them questions that can help you make better business decisions. Maybe some things change in the industry and you're not aware of. You've been too busy doing your own thing, but the industry has changed. Maybe one of your products has lost quality. You want to talk to your customers. They will be the main people who will tell you if there's something you can do to keep them happier or make your products better. So that's one other thing we can do to analyze and make changes and improvements to our business. Now, one other thing I did in my business, and I think it's really smart to do, is if you see the trends of the economy, if things are slower, you want to possibly consider a business loan. So this is something I wanted to do because I didn't want my cash flow to be lower than I was used to, because I like taking risks, I like investing, I like growing. So I wanted to have a cushion. So if it is the economy and I see the trends across the board and I think I'm going to need more funding, this was my way of kind of securing my confidence to hold on tight a little bit or have extra funds to invest when your competition might be struggling or taking things slow. This may be your chance to get ahead and be one of the leaders in your industry. One thing with loans though, make sure you do your research, make sure you talk to a professional, somebody who knows what they're doing, to not get a bad loan. One thing also, just in life and business, you don't want to get in so much debt where you're going to be stuck and not be able to get out of it. That's very important, okay? Because sometimes loans or debt can really, really draw you down quickly. Those interest rates do add up very quickly. So make sure you're thinking through it and it's the right loan, it's the right fit if that's the route you're going to take. Another thing you can do is you can add new services or new products, right? Sometimes that will attract new customers. Although you'd be spending more money to invest in your business with new products or new services, you can attract new traffic. The way I decided to do this when I saw things were kind of slowing down is I added kind of a section to my business back, okay? So in the past, because I wanted to slow kind of my responsibilities, I had decided to only focus on the education and the product line of my business. But I also had physical services part to my business. But that kind of chapter of it, I had decided to close down because to me, that extra work, extra profit was not worth it of how much work I was putting into it. But now, as the business was kind of slowing down with the products and the classes, I decided to bring services back to add another avenue of income to my whole umbrella of the business. And of course, on the business side, you always want to review your books, you want to review your analytics, and you want to see if there's any trends of why your business is slower than normal. Is there something that you're doing differently? Did anything else happen? Is there a certain month or something that indicates a big drop into your numbers that you can kind of go back and analyze? Okay, what did I do different in that period? Is there something that I did different at that time that's affecting me currently? And lastly, of course, I'm a big believer in education and investing in ourselves as entrepreneurs to grow. You may want to hire a coach. You may want to take a sales strategy workshop or a class in order to fine-tune your skills, to get new ideas and work on new things in order to grow your business. So if you have tried everything else and nothing else is working currently, I would strongly recommend invest in your education, in your strategy, and see how that helps. But of course, your last thing as an entrepreneur, you want to be realistic and you want to be smart about your business and your business choices. So make sure you're really on top of it and you're not really kind of digging yourself in a hole as things are slowing down or are not optimal as you would hope. Okay, ask for help. Do everything you can. And of course, number one advice I can say to help get through hard times is take action. Don't just sit and be upset and sad and stressed out about whatever current situation that you're not happy with. Take action. And I think when we take any steps and any action, that's when we start feeling better, or at least having hope and faith that, hey, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to see an outcome, right? And you just keep taking action until you see what is working. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And like always, thank you for tuning in and listening. And you guys are the best part of this show. So make sure you leave comments, feedback, email us with what you would like to hear and see in the episodes. And like I said, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.